You probably think this world is a dream come true, but you're wrong.
So y'all, on today's episode, I want to bring this up. Now, I'm not sure if anybody watches any anime or cartoons, but I noticed this, so I'm going to tell you guys about it. There is a cartoon that's called, I'm pretty sure everybody know what DC Comics is, okay? And I pretty much watch all of the cartoons that have ever existed, okay? Every anime, every movie, Justice League, you name it, okay? I've seen pretty much all of it. Now, in particular, because I actually enjoy watching these, I want to tell y'all about one of the episodes that reminds me of what's going on in current society. And this is going to be a bit spiritual / scientific for those of you who enjoy science and stuff like this. Now, I love science, okay? One of my favorite subjects. Have you guys ever heard of timeline jumping, right? Quantum jumping, okay? I have a theory. I think somebody is fucking with the timeline. It's just that simple. I'm going to explain to you why. And this reminded me of an episode I saw on Superman. So in particular, I was watching a Superman movie the other day, and every time I've watched Superman movies, something finally occurred to me that what actually I'm looking at is Superman living in different timelines. That's what all the films are about. And I always was like, man, how did I not put that together until now? Okay? I'll give you one better. There is a particular episode where they were trying to clone Superman and mess with the timeline to make him a Nazi version of Superman. They literally tried to create a clone of him, change his genetics to make his hair blonde because his eyes are already blue, and then they were going to have him rule over the nation as a Nazi Superman. Sound familiar? Okay. I also want to remind you, anytime that someone has ever tried to create this idea, okay, this Nazism that's going on, even in the current society, do you know they all died? Every single time they died. Okay? I don't know who needs to hear that message. I don't know who needs to know that, but they all die every time. Y'all know why they die? Anybody? Because those traits are recessive, okay? If you've ever studied genetics, I've studied it before, okay? There's a such thing called dominant and recessive genes, okay? People that have that particular hair color, those particular eye colors, they have recessive genes, okay? And there are things that those genes cannot do. This is not racism or anything like that. This is literally science, okay? These same people also can become very sickly or ill, okay? They also will have a hard time creating children after a certain age, which makes sense of some of these people's strange behaviors and obsessions. Also, I don't know if you guys know this either, but in order for said group, okay, who's trying to push Nazism to survive, do you know they would most likely have to have children with black people in order to survive? That's right. You would have to have babies with people who have dominant genes, meaning they can survive. Their genealogy is built for the society, for the biodome that we're living in, okay? And in order for you to survive, you have to be from said biodome. If you're not, that means you are a creation of something that, gave you recessive genes. And because people don't understand this, I wanted to bring this up and to also encourage people to kind of watch this episode. It really made me pay attention to things that not only happen in society, but it also showed me patterns. That every time someone tries to do this, try to dominate, try to force things on people in that sense, right? This idea, this obsession they have with eugenics, they all end up dying. Every single time. And so then I said, well, let me go back and watch some other episodes. There have been a multitude of Nazi episodes where every time somebody did this, they all end up dying. Okay? It's because, I don't know if it's hit them yet, you would die genetically by yourself. You would not survive. You would not live. You could probably morph into something, but more than likely, it won't be human. More than likely, it won't be human. Okay? The reason why I'm bringing this up, y'all, is because I've learned that people who have this mindset to always want to dominate things, this weird behavior, yes, genetically speaking, you will end up dying. And there's absolutely no way around this. You will end up dead. And then I start realizing this makes so much sense. I've even tried to explain this to other people when I said, I can't believe racism still exists. And somebody was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I said, well, if I'm being honest or being scientific, if there really was just one group of people who were here, there was only one that will survive. Everyone else more than likely will die due to the fact they have this high percentage of recessive genes. And if the biodome that we live in changes, and it's naturally changing to the natural adaptations of the people that are actually from the land, the only people that will be to survive is the people that are from the land. No one else will survive except the people that are of the land, because that's how it works. If you think about ecosystems and the way ecosystems are designed, if you think about biology, anatomy, physiology, everything tells you that in science. It's proven, okay? This is not some debate. This is literally proven. In order for something to survive, it would literally have to procreate and create life with something that is from the natural source of what was already here. If it doesn't, there is no way it would be able to evolve. Even if you did a level of experimentation and this, that, the third, over time, whatever naturally is here will still dominate because it has the longest set genes and is connected to, again, the natural biodome, the natural ecosystem of what existed. So what happens is it changes over time. Okay, I'll give you another example. One day I was watching a documentary about beetles. Yes, I watch a lot of different information, a lot of different things. But because I used to watch Animal Planet when I was a kid, I enjoy documentaries about animals. So in particular, I found a fascination with the beetle. And I learned that beetles changed over time through, same thing I'm explaining to y'all about, the ecosystem they live in and the genetics changing. So basically, in order to survive, they had to mate with said beetle, depending on what it was, and they all do this little fight. That's how beetles now have the little, antlers or antennas that you see on the side of their head. That was a process of evolution. But they all had to breed with, again, someone that was originally from the land. You will not be able to survive outside of it. So then I said, I wonder if this is true for other animals as well. So then I started looking this up, and come to find out, what do you know? There's a pattern. There's a pattern. There's a reason why I'm telling people this. Maybe the reason, y'all, why the things are happening in the world is because somebody really does keep fucking with the timeline. And every time they do this, it only pushes them out to be quicker. They won't survive, basically. And the longer that this keeps on happening, or people keep trying to do it, the higher, or should I say, the more strange things that we're going to see happen in this current reality. Now, this is just something I realized, just my theory. We're going to say no facts yet, but theorizing it, this sounds correct. Okay? You won't be able to survive, again, unless you are literally involved with someone who is naturally from this biodome, this ecosystem, the one we currently live in. And the reason why I say that, it makes so much sense now why you see people having all this panic over who belongs where, who is in which geographical location, who belongs to what state, what country, what this. Because again, where you're from is a part of your natural geological and biological systems. A lot of people will not admit this. They'll think, no, that's not the case. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I'm not kidding. If you keep trying to do this, a lot of people don't understand you're basically just killing off your bloodline. You think you're doing that to other people, but the truth is you're only doing that to yourself. Until the next video.